This is the genealogy tree of the Lukic family, who was a prominent family with, my grandfather was an industrial, and we also had a coat of arms, and everything was of course taken away from us. So that's how it goes. And I'm the only one who came back.
Aleksandra Grejs Lukić, ja sam vas upoznala na jednoj modnoj reviji. Mislim da je to bila modna revija posvećena egipatskoj modi u Etnografskom muzeju. Primetila sam da se jako veliki broj ljudi oko vas okuplja. Bili ste izuzetno, kako da vam kažem, divno obučeni. Mnogo je ljudi vama prilazilo. I tada sam pitala koja je ova gospođa. I oni su meni rekli, ko ste vi? Nisu znali tačno da mi objasne. Posle toga ste pozvali nekoliko žena da dođu kod vas na piće posle modne revije. I tada sam videla veliki broj žena koji su bile na toj reviji. Ja sam se pridružila njima i tada prvi put i ušla u vaš dom. I tada sam poželela da vas sretnem lično, da saznam nešto o vama. Intuicija mi je rekla da tu mora da postoji neka priča. I zato sam ja kod vas došla i hvala vam da ste me primili u svom domu. I sada mi recite, govorite engleski, govorite srpski. Ko ste vi zapravo? Ko ste vi, Aleksandra? Ko?
Well, when I was living in Washington, D.C., and they asked me where did I come from, I would always say I have a Slav soul, a French education, and a Swiss passport. Because then I had only the Swiss, because my husband was at the World Bank and we had a diplomatic status. When actually he was working on Yugoslavia, he advised me to take over again the Serbian passport. Then it was the Yugoslav passport. And I did. And when we divorced, I wanted to stay in America. I had a beautiful house in Ceviche's village that I bought from him, actually. And I wanted to stay in America. In order to stay in America, I had to take the green card. So that's how I took the green card and became an American, to stay in America. But to my surprise, I did not stay in America. I came back in Belgrade. And that's quite amazing, because it was not my decision. It was actually, I think it's the Holy Spirit. I came on Molerova, which was an apartment of my aunt, and which was remodeled by her granddaughter, who works at the World Bank, magnificently. And as you can see in my apartment, for me, everything is visual. For me, it's very important, the environment where I live. And so when I saw the apartment, I said, oh my God, I can live in Belgrade. And that was a big surprise to me. And that's what it happened. When I took my retirement, I actually sold my house, bought this apartment, and I'm very happy in Belgrade.
Vi ste počeli da govorite engleski, međutim vi govorite srpski.
Ali ne dobro. Ja sam otišla iz Beograda kad sam imala 5 godine i nikad nisam bila u školu. Tako da ja mogu da govorim, ali ne znam padeže. Nisam nikad učila srpske moje deci. Ukoliko I'm an interpreter and a translator, I have a diploma from the University of Geneva. And for me, to speak correctly a language is very important. So, zbog toga nisam nikad govorila srpski deci i mogu da govorim oko da svaki dan stvari, ali ako idem kod advokata, meni treba neko da dođe da mi objasni šta mi priča.
In fact, you impress yourself, you show yourself better in English, right?
French is better. The French is my main language because I have a French education, I have a French baccalaureate. And I was in boarding schools near Geneva, French boarding schools with nuns, all my life, from the age of 5 until 18. My father was a widower, he couldn't take care of me, and so I would just go home for the holidays. My father left Belgrade in '48 because my mother had cancer, and he took her to Geneva to try to have her see doctors, etc. And she died, and he did not return because after he has sent her coffin, he said, well, I'm coming back. And everybody told him, don't come back. Tito is putting everybody in prison. My father was from a rich family. And although my grandfather closed his factory during the occupation, not only they took his factory, but they wanted to kill him. Thanks to the fact that my father, actually, my grandmother on my maternal side was the cousin of Dobrovoy Radosavljević. He gave my father the passport to get out of the country, and my grandfather was not killed because he protected him. But that's how things were going on at that time. Well, that's history, you know. But so that's why my father did not come back.
It was only because he was rich?
You know what? My father never talked to me about Yugoslavia. Never. Never. I think at a certain point he was for Tito's movement, but then he saw that, like, he was young, you know, he was very young. Then he saw whatever he saw, I don't know what. So I don't know the story. Actually, my former husband had finished his PhD in Geneva and was offered a job at the World Bank. It was very nice. My children went to the French school, the French lycée. We had a very nice social life, so it was a lot of fun. But of course, there was also a lot of French people. Kemal, of course, was fluent in French because he grew up in Geneva, and so it was very nice. It's a little bit like here now that I'm member of the IWC, where the people I meet are very international. It's a little bit the same thing. I was member actually in Washington, D.C. From the IWC, but I didn't have much time to attend the events because I was working full time. Being an interpreter and a translator was something that I did because I spoke 4 languages. So that's the reason why I studied that. It was the easy thing to study. My father always told me that a woman doesn't work. She goes to college to have a good conversation at the dinner table, but is not supposed to work. She's supposed to be well maintained by her husband. So I never had a big ambition of doing something, but I had a big passion. And my passion was actually collecting antiques. That's my passion in life. And I was very fortunate to attend the local auction house in Washington, D.C., where the owner asked he needed somebody for his silver department, but very quickly the position was taken, and the next time I went he needed somebody for his decorative art department. So I applied and I was actually hired, and after 6 months I became the director of the department. But then my interest was more toward Asian art than decorative art. It means everything which is small in the world. So, but my taste was toward Asian art, and I started it with the passion that I had for Chinese export. And so I created the Asian department, And it was a very good idea because, you know, now the Chinese buy everything. So I had a really very interesting career. I was director, vice president. I traveled to China, traveled to Hong Kong, traveled to Bali to get estates. It was it was fantastic because it was really what I loved and what I was passionate about. And also not only about objects, but I liked the interaction with my clients. I like to be able to find them good things, to call them. I had a very big estate from the DuPonts. And actually they had a collection of 225 snuff bottles. And what did I do? Well, I called Mr. Hall, there were three popes of snuff bottles in London. So I called them and I said, you know, I have a collection from the DuPonts. Would you help me to sell it well? And actually one snuff bottle brought $25,000 when Sotheby's got for a similar one the previous year only $9,000.
You are socializing a lot. You have many people around you. How you value a contact? Usually people are saying that it's very valuable to have a good contact. What is a contact for you?
Well, to be honest, I socialize a lot because I love people and I love to make parties. I love to wear nice dresses. I love to wear my jewelry and I love people. And in Washington, it was the same. I was all the time entertaining. All the parties were at my house. Thanksgiving was always in my house. Christmas was always in my house. Anything for me is a pretext to have a party. I love it. I just love it. I do it out of love. I don't do it because I want to socialize with this one. Of course, I invite the people that I like. But on the other hand, it is important to know people because they can open doors for you. They can present you interesting people. I met some very interesting people here. I call her Branca too. She's amazing. She does those exhibitions of photographs, you know, and between the two world wars. And I found this fascinating because she digs in our history. And so this is the kind of people that I like also, the people who are interested in history, who are interested in our town, who are interested in preserving our town. I found those people fascinating. You know, they're on a mission. And so that's the idea, to have interesting people at your parties. And actually, I think Princess Elizabeth met at my party Goga. And she walked in a Serbian outfit at the ethnographic festival, and she met Goga here. So you see, you put people in contact, and they do all kinds of things together, and these are all fascinating people, and that's life. That's what's passionate about life. That's what I'm passionate about beside collecting antiques.
When I met you, I can tell you that I never saw so much joy in somebody, a pure joy. Do you think that your life was exceptional? Do you think that you had a life which is not an everyday life? Are you aware of that?
Yes, I'm aware of one thing, is that I had an exceptional life in the sense that I traveled the world. because of my father, who moved me to Geneva, because of my husband, who moved me to the United States, and then I traveled the world because of my job. But I had a hard life. I had a hard life because I lost my mother when I was 2 years old, and I was in boarding schools all my life. And that was not easy. That was not easy at all. And also I loved Geneva, and I had to leave Geneva to go to Washington, D.C. That was not easy either. You know, I'm a Cancer, and Cancer people are, they're attached to their base. It's very difficult for them to travel, to leave, to go elsewhere. They like to be where they used to be. And no, I didn't have an easy life. You know, my husband walked away to follow his secretary. The World Bank is like that, you know, anyhow. So, well, after 30 years of marriage, but nevertheless, we remarried, actually. We remarried. But he came back for the wrong reasons. So it was difficult. You know, my husband was the passion of my life. And I still love him. I love Adrian too, but not in the same way. And so that was difficult too. So there was a lot of difficult things. But what you have to try to do in life, I think, is to find happiness in little things. And when you find happiness in little things, then it grows, and every day there's another happiness. And then, you know, so what is my happiness? To be with my children. I just spent a week in Paris with my 2 boys and my grandchildren. That's fantastic. I love to spoil them. Even the dresses I wear, you know, I wear only Zimignake, but this is like collecting because it's all resellable. My purses are Coco Chanel. It's resellable. I have a deformation in my profession because I have to know what is the value of things, and then I hate to buy something which doesn't have a value, doesn't have a resale value. So everything I have has a resale value.
Are you selling it then?
No.
When you're talking about reselling?
No.
You just know the value and you keep it, but you don't resell it.
No, I don't resell it, but I know that my children can resell it, you know, when I'm not here anymore. I'm not buying junk. I never buy anything which doesn't have any value, a resale value. My first love is silver, and this is part of my collection. This is a plate from the service of Catherine the Great of Russia. It was made in China in 1785. And this is a Russian icon of Saint Nicholas, who is the saint of my Slava. Actually, this library is made with Chinese 18th century doors, and they contain my art books and also my collections. One of the things I really like in this house is this red lacquered cupboard, which is of course Chinese, and I bought it in Beijing when I was traveling there for my work with a wonderful gentleman, Dr. Li, who took me to Beijing 4 times. Mira, this is a photograph of myself with my 3 children in my living room in Washington, D.C. And this is another picture with children and grandchildren, the day of my birthday in my backyard, where you can see the large swimming pool.
Living in Washington, have you been thinking about Belgrade, Serbia? Did you have any contacts?
Yes, I have a cousin who loves me very much. Well, they all love me, but this one particularly. And he, of course, because we were from a wealthy family, there's always a piece of land or something that you're inheriting. When my grandmother died, I got the 1/3 of her apartment, so I came back to get the money. And this cousin always wanted me to come and sign papers and things like that. But I never thought seriously to come back to Belgrade. I personally think that when somebody retires, somebody has to be in a place where they actually know people. I would have never retired in Florida. I was going to stay in my house in Chevy Chase, because as my sign is Cancer, and Cancers, they like their roots. And I lived in that house for 33 years. So those were my roots, really, although I left Geneva and I was sad about it because I loved living in Geneva. But as I said before, my father never spoke about Serbia or Yugoslavia, never. Never. And we spoke French. We didn't speak Serbian. We spoke French, and it was like a taboo, we say in French, you know. It was like a place where you cannot go. There was no confidence. There was nothing. There was nothing. It was just kind of a closed door. So I am very happy that I returned. But as I said previously, it's not me, it's the Holy Spirit. It's somebody from up there, like Djokovic says, you know, it comes from there, you know. I love Djokovic. And so it was not really my decision. It was just, I was inspired by something. And I'm very happy. I'm really happy. I'm as happy as I was in Chevy Chase in my house, being here. And as I say, I have family, and I developed a big éventail of friends, and life is beautiful. I entertain, I buy antiques, my children visit me, I go and visit them. Life is beautiful. Ovo je moj dedin venčanje, ovo je albanska spomenica i ovo je moj dedino ordenje. And now I collect a lot of things, but now I decided that I was going to collect things from Serbian things, and I'm mostly interested about the Karađorđević memorabilia, and I am very proud to have found a cigarette case in silver, which was made in Vienna, but that King Alexander I have ordered to give as presents to his guest for his wedding. And I found one, and it's just here on my chest of drawers, and I like it. So, I collect Karađorđević memorabilia if I can find it.
How you made the decision to come to live in Belgrade? Can you remember that the day or the situation?
Yes, I told you actually. I was visiting with my children, Belgrade, and we stayed in this apartment of my aunt, who was renovated by her granddaughter, and it was so well done that I found it. I said, I can live here. I can live here, and nobody believed me. Nobody was. She has a beautiful house in Cević's village. She has a swimming pool. She, etc. So why would she come back to Belgrade? But I did come back, and as I say, it's not. I don't think it's my decision. I think it's the Holy Spirit.
How you feel here?
Happy.
What makes you happy?
Sometimes I say stupid things like, I like the smell. I like the smell of the air. Is that stupid? Because it's very polluted. So I don't know. I'm back home.